have many options, so.
I don't know. I'm one of the most relaxed podcasts there is.
Yeah, you are like oddly relaxed. Like, it's.
Well, in podcasting or just in general?
Just in general, I think.
know, right?
You're one of those. You seem like one of those people, at least through social media. Like,
Sure.
What you see is what you got.
I mean, that's what I try to be. You know, everything else is in the outlook.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's where all my dynamic range goes. Everything else is consistent. Everything else is in the outlook. Yeah. All right. Well, if you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
All right. Welcome to the podcast then.
Thank
We've started.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'm very excited.
I was trying to think if this is the furthest I've traveled for a podcast.
Is
And
it?
I don't know. I think it might be.
Ooh.
Because I drove 4 hours for one in the UK, but I think the distance is actually smaller than taking train. So it might be the furthest I've gone. It's not the furthest away I've done, but the furthest away.
Well, you're in New England.
Oh, come to New England.
Yeah.
Hidden away.
Yeah.
In Connecticut.
Connecticut, Mystic. That's like quintessential, like Connecticut is Mystic.
You're originally Connecticut.
Rhode Island.
Originally Rhode Island. I still don't know where things are, so.
I don't either.
No.
I've only lived in Connecticut since January, so
Yeah.
it's still relatively new.
Right.
I think a rite of passage as being an American now is you have to watch the movie Mystic Pizza.
That's fair. I mean, I've seen Mystic Pizza.
You have?
I'm American. I don't know if I want to be American, but I have seen Mystic Pizza.
I don't. not today, not right now.
No, never in this current climate.
No. But the pizza's pretty good.
Yeah? It lives up to that.
I think it depends on who's cooking it. I've only had it a few times. Sometimes it's spectacular, other times it's good.
Okay.
So it's just fun. The ambiance is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of the way with all food films.
It helps.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter how good the food actually is.
Yeah. And even like the little dive bars,
Yeah.
they tend to have like the best pizza ever.
Yeah. I feel like pizza's a very controversial subject.
It can be.
In this area, especially.
Well, Connecticut is the pizza capital of like the world, I guess. Yeah.
Really?
I had no idea. Maybe it's just the pizza capital of the U.S. I don't know. But I'm also very particular with pizza. I don't typically like thin crust.
Okay.
Although at my cousin had a family gathering after his Stage Famous show this past weekend. And Early Adopted is a musician, and he was there, and he rolls in with this giant fucking pizza oven. Like, giant. And I don't know if it's supposed to actually be portable or not, but it was the best thin crust pizza I've ever had in my entire life. Homemade sauce. The cheese was perfect, like not too much. It was magic.
Interesting.
Magic. Next time you need to stay longer.
Stay longer. Get pizza.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to start with a very simple question.
Okay.
Just to dive in. Well, not necessarily a simple question.
Simple to who?
Well, everyone panics over it, so it'll be interesting.
Okay.
Who are you?
Who am I? That is actually a really difficult question.
Yeah.
I am exactly who I wanted to be when I was my 12-year-old self.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to have lots of tattoos. I knew I wanted to have long gray hair. I didn't know I wanted it dreadlocked until I was like 15, 16, 17.
Okay. What inspired the dreadlock?
Well, I mean, I grew up, the dichotomy in my upbringing was I was raised by my very, very strict Catholic grandfather and a native witchy grandmother.
Okay.
And we couldn't talk about that with my very strict grandfather. So it was always an undertone growing up. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I actually started uncovering all of these things, having these rememberings of growing up and going to church twice a week and on holidays, but also visiting teepees and sweat lodges and native rituals.
Yeah.
So I would say I am an extremely spiritual, sensual lover of life.
That's a strong answer.
Yeah, I don't know. If you would have asked me this like a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
I would have had no idea.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And you also knew that you wanted to do that by 12.
I did.
Yeah. That's an even stronger statement than that.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at 12.
Who does?
No. I'm pretty sure I wanted to be a firefighter.
Aww.
I don't know why.
I kind of wanted to be Jem as well. Do you remember the Barbie doll Jem with the crazy hair?
No.
Jem and the holograms, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I know the name, but I don't know the doll.
She was a rock star.
Okay.
And had crazy hair and did everything she wanted to do the way she wanted to do it.
Interesting.
So I kind of wanted to be her too.
That's fine. I think I might have wanted to be a fireman because there was a shorter and stop motion cartoon called Fireman Sam in the UK.
Oh my gosh.
And I wanted to be stop motion because why wouldn't you want to be
Why
stop
wouldn't?
motion?
Why?
I still want to be stop motion.
Stop motion is a lot of work. A lot of work. Not that I have done it personally, but I've
I've
seen
done
my
little
daughter.
bits and it's insane.
It takes a very long time and a lot of patience that I just don't have.
No.
Kudos to you though, man. Fireman, huh?
Yeah, but that died off quickly.
When did you grow out of that?
Around 13, older.
Okay.
It combined with my early life lessons around job and authority, and then my introduction to more alternative views,
Okay.
and then my problems with authority.
Yeah, I'm not good with that either.
Yeah. So eventually, there's certain jobs, whilst I still think being a fireman is a very admirable thing to do, it involves a uniform, and therefore was off the list of things I would go do.
Because there's a uniform
Because
involved.
there's a uniform involved.
So anything with a uniform.
At that age, yeah. I wouldn't do anything which was... anything which was a uniform authority, I was not interested in. So even, like, medical.
No.
Yeah, my brain was just like, I'm not doing that. We're not going into industry of authority in any way, shape, or form.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that you knew that at such a young age.
Yeah. I've gone through that. There's still authorities which I don't enjoy. But,
I mean, I think that's part of being in this human experience, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Sadly.
It's hard, like looking back on bosses I've had in the past and thinking like, now that I'm a grown woman, like if I were that terrible boss that I had back in the day, what could I have done differently? And I think that's why I don't want to ever work for anyone again.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it.
No. No. I also don't know if I want to be the boss either.
I mean, you've got the struggle of you are your own boss.
Yeah.
So...
I can be my own boss, but...
if your boss is being a dick, what are you going to do?
I know. Because she can be a dick sometimes.
You have to do your own taxes and all that things.
All the grown-up things.
Yeah.
Which is also a trap, by the way.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But you get that trap when you're, like, born.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels less like a trap because you're in it when you're born.
Yeah, but it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But it's what you do with it, I suppose, right?
Yeah, it could be. You can balance it.
Somewhat, maybe?
It's a to-do list.
A little bit?
Yeah. As long as it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, and I think laughing, for me, I have to laugh at myself and, like, the things, making mistakes, right? I think making mistakes is what builds resiliency. And I think that resiliency is a huge part of the human experience. Because if we don't have resiliency, how do we get through all the hard shit? How do we get through the heartbreak, the breakups, the losing the jobs, the getting kicked out of school, the losing your best friend, losing someone you love, right? It's how we grow and evolve. And hopefully learn to do those things in a more graceful, less angry kind of way.
That's the goal.
It's the goal.
Yeah.
Does it always happen?
No. God, no. But we're human.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get this corporeal meat suit to live in, and like we're gonna take advantage of that and have fun and
Yeah.
make the best out of it that we can, or bitch and complain the whole time. For me, it's a balance.
It's always a balance. Speaking
Right.
of, though, of your self-employment, what do you do? Because I feel like this would also explain some of the way you speak on these topics.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have to explain that.
So do you want the preface to who I am, the little backstory? Do you want what I'm doing right now?
We can start with your name, and then what you would say your occupation is.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. So I'm Stacy. My handle on social media is Siddhani Mama. That came from my very first yoga teacher that I had.
Okay.
She gave us all Hindu names. And it actually wasn't until I visited Rishikesh, India, that I found out what Siddhani meant. And it means blessed.
Oh.
I had no idea. So let's see. I started out as a yoga teacher in my young adult life. From there, I went into health and wellness and became a birth doula. And I loved it. I loved making a difference in mamas' lives that were about to take this leap of motherhood. I did that for quite a while, and then I enrolled in midwifery school, and I was really excited about that. But then Zoe, my oldest daughter, had a stroke, and I became her caretaker for 4 years, and I had learned in those early moments of Zoe's stroke and arrest that what I had done in my life up until that point had prepared me for what I was about to go through with my daughter.
Right.
And it was all so abundantly clear. You know, I have a deep history in the human body, in psychology, and the way the body moves in coordination with the mind and the spirit. My yoga background and helping moms learn to move moms that couldn't move themselves, do things for these women that they needed support with. And it was so profound when, their early month after Zoe had her stroke, I didn't know anything. Right? You're in this place of, what do I do now? And I had to marinate in that to find my strength, to be empowered by a super shitty situation.
Yeah.
And then I needed some deeper spirituality, so I became a shaman. I studied shamanism for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And then when she passed, I dove in March of 21. I dove headfirst into that practice, and that's basically what kept me alive.
Yeah.
And I became a death midwife and all of that. And I took some of my practices, some of my college credits, and I morphed it into my shamanism practice to become a counselor. And it's kind of wild. It's so wild.
Yeah.
I never would have imagined being here right now, going through all this and embodying such emotion and such deep feeling.
Yeah.
And still stand and breathe and function as an adult.
That's insane.
So that's who I am.
Yeah. That's the road trip, which is, got you where you are.
And that was the super compacted version. So, yeah.
I mean, we're all aged. It takes time to explain ourselves completely.
We could be here all week.
You don't have to tell me about what you're doing when you were 15 or whatever. No, that's insane. That's kind of a crazy trip as well, where it's interesting you can see your stop points along the way there as well. Because I think a lot of people get to where you are, where it's you end up in a role and then look back and I have no idea how did I get here? There's no track on this.
Yeah, I try not to blink too much, right? Because I feel truly I'm 50 years old.
Right.
When I was even in my early 20s, I looked at someone that was 50 and I was like, oh my God, they're old. when I'm 50, like, what am I going to be doing when I'm 50? And truthfully, I feel now more empowered than I really have ever been in my life. And I feel that I am truly and genuinely the most authentic version of myself now than I have ever been in my life. And to say that while also speaking about my daughter not physically being here anymore is it's wild to carry those two things in this one container.
Yeah.
Right? Because a parent's worst nightmare, but also like, hey, I'm 50 and I'm like finally coming into myself and this is like great.
Yeah.
So to be able to acknowledge those two things is really trippy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's still like carrying those both. It's like right brain, left brain, you know?
Yeah. Especially as well because I think at least as you go through the various like decades of life, I feel like everyone every decade thinks, you know, I'm 15 and this is the best I'm going to be. This is what I am in life. 25, you're like, this is it. This is what I want. And then it's kind of like you've done the track back of, well, does that mean everything before was inauthentic?
Yeah.
Was I lying? Or was I just discovering things as I go along?
I think, right, it could be a little bit of everything depending upon our perception of ourselves at the time, right? Like looking back, what do you know at 15? And then what do you really know at 25? And then at 30, I mean, if you look back 10 years from what you know now to what you knew 10 years ago, it should be tremendous, right? That growth.
Yeah.
But and I'm sure in 10 years when I'm 60, hopefully I'll say the same thing. But yeah, I think there's something lovely in experiencing all of life, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Because, you know, how can you truly enjoy the absolute best moments in your life to your fullness if you don't know what pain and suffering is? Not like we should stay in that place of pain and suffering, but if you know what pain and suffering feels like, you're going to enjoy the joy and the pleasure so much more deeply.
Yeah.
But it's shitty at the same time.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think I always say it's really easy to get comfortable in the pain and suffering. It's very easy to just kind of step into it and think, well, I'm in it, and then that becomes the consistent.
Absolutely.
Because then, if you have joy, it can be taken away, and that's what your brain says.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, well, it's easier just to stay depressed.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And I think it's even easier to do that if that's your pattern, right? If that's what you know. And look, there's no blame because we only know in this experience what we know, right? And it, you know, a lot of that is generational too. What were we taught from our parents? Some of us are luckier than others. What were we taught from our families, our support systems, our teachers, our mentors, right? And not a lot of humans actually have that type of support. So, you know, rather than getting pissed off at someone who tends to make not the best choices or be frustrated with them, I think it helps us grow individually if we can take a minute and stop and think about, hey, I wonder what that person's going through. Like, what happened in their day or in their week to make them this upset, this cranky, this whatever it is they're being. And I think, you know, really truly trying to understand that everyone is going through something right now, you know, at various levels of shittiness.
Yeah. I always like to microcosm that down when I'm like trying to explain that to people who are frustrated with other people.
Yeah.
And I think I always comb it back to if you're in a coffee shop and one of the customers is being the worst customer in the world, are you thinking, this is the worst customer in the world, to hell with this guy? And then your brain goes, why is he the worst customer in the world? What happened this morning that annoyed them so much? Or what didn't happen and they woke up like this?
Yeah.
That takes a lot of effort.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. To have empathy and compassion for another human being especially if that human is being a dick.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you be nice to them? But I would say 9 times out of 10 when I've done this, it's pay that person a compliment. Like, hey, dude, I know you're having a shitty day, but you got a great beard. You know, like, or something that it's easy to resonate with a person, especially when they're vibrating low.
Yeah.
Right? Because anything you say to that person is likely going to be a little bit of a gift. Unless you come at them and attack them, right? Then shame on you. But, and it's part selfish, right? Because if you see someone who's having a really bad day, part of it for me anyway is like, oh, I want to see if I can just shift their energy a little bit. I want to see if I can make them smile, you know, like.
I thought in my head, you were going the other way.
How can I piss them off a little more?
Wow, they're really amped up.
How can I poke those buttons a little? Don't get me wrong, I'm really good at that too. I am. I think that's part of being a counselor, right? Is you need to know how to like get in there and like ask questions. People are so different. People are so different, and we're all going through again our own situation. So how can we be assertive enough to ask the uncomfortable questions with respect with what that person's going through, right? And it's not easy, but I mean 9 times out of 10, again, if you hit someone with kindness, either they're gonna reciprocate that or at least accept it, and maybe they'll tell you to fuck off, but at least you've done your due diligence in trying to meet a person where they're at.
I have a curiosity question.
Yeah, shoot.
As we were chatting about curiosity the other day. No, so I'm curious from your point of view on like a counselor level, obviously, and even like from the kind of like the shaman era and all that kind of whatever. A lot of what that teaches is mindfulness of yourself and exploring your emotions and feelings of any situation and all situations. But at the same time, do you think people get stuck doing that rather than actually trying to instigate a change?
Do they get stuck focusing on themselves?
Yeah, stuck analyzing themselves, stuck just kind of thinking, oh yeah, well I need to be mindful of this and all these mindful moments, and then that becomes their thing.
I think it's very easy to get stuck in any dynamic if it's comfortable enough, right? If we become complacent enough. The one thing about us is when we start, like what they say, doing the work on ourselves, I compare it to a lot of my clients as taking a mirror. Like you're in the morning, in the mirror in the morning, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, doing your beard, grooming your thing, whatever. And it's not just about how do I look in that mirror. It's how does my personality look? How does my soul look? Like if you're out in the world, how many people do you pass by a day that can pick up on your energy? So what kind of energy do you want to share with the world, right? And so when I'm starting with someone in a session, first let me back up.
Sure.
I think a big difference between what I do on a spiritual level, taking into consideration my shamanism, which is my core belief in life. It's living in alignment with the web of life, the good in life. That's how do we evolve and grow and learn and morph into community, right? And a lot of people come to me, and this is I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but there's a purpose here.
Go for it.
And you can edit it all out if it doesn't sound
I don't edit.
Oh! You could have told me that at the beginning.
You've seen the show. It's constant loop.
I know. No, and I like that. So, look, we can't help other people or be the best variation of ourselves if we don't ask the hardest questions, the ones that make us the most uncomfortable, the ones that tap into your insecurities about yourself, your doubts, every little fear, right? And look at your body like a house, right? From the attic to the basement. When we start going through this healing process, typically as humans, we start to shove or sweep things under the rug, and I'm gonna get to that later. I'm gonna deal with the most critical things first. It's like, what's acute? What's brewing in me? Is it fear? Is it fear of rejection? Is it not being able to move ahead in the world, right? We got to ask those questions. And typically for myself or someone I am working with, and they come with me with direct questions, right? Relationship, spouse, kids, job. I always bring it back to the individual person, because we cannot be the best version of ourselves if we don't take a long, hard look at the darkness. And we all have levels of darkness. Maybe when we were a kid, we stepped on a frog, we killed the frog, we threw it in the backyard. Like, is that eating as you as an adult because you killed a frog and you didn't tell anyone about it, right?
It should.
It could be the little things,
Yeah.
right? It could be the really little things that send us into a spiral of doubt. Or it could be something so much bigger, right? It could be anything on the spectrum, but we have to look at those really dark bits of ourselves, the shame, the guilt, the fear. And it's a process, right? And we can't do it all at once. We have to pick one or two things to work on at a time. And, if it's anxiety, stress, depression, guilt, whatever it is, we slowly approach those little bits and love them back to health. Because whatever is arising, like say you're having a panic attack, right? And it starts with a racing heart, maybe sweaty palms, maybe like you're starting to get a little jittery. Your mind is like ADD mind all over the place, or it's spiraling on one thing. How do we come back? How do we come back from that? We have to tap into what we know. And what do we know? Okay, right now I know that I'm sitting in this chair with my friend Graham. I know that my foot's on the floor. I know that I'm in a safe space. Okay, now what? Okay, I can breathe. I'm in a safe place. I can breathe. Okay, what comes after that? They're little bitty baby steps in acknowledging the way that we've been treating ourselves for so long. Because we wouldn't allow a friend, a family member, someone in our life to disrespect us or our needs, right? If there's something that we need, let's say we're starting a relationship with someone and you need to be heard, or you want your hand held, right? That person's not going to know that you want to be heard or have your hand held unless you tell that person you want to be heard or have your hand held, right? And those are just little examples, but it comes back to us doing our own work, because we can't have expectations of other people doing the same.
No.
Right?
Definitely not.
We can only meet people where they're at.
Yeah. I do find it's interesting when I meet people who are going through some level of counseling and then becoming frustrated with other people because they're not dealing with the same thing in some way. Or trying to apply their theory to everyone else.
Being like a pusher.
Yeah, kind of. There's a few examples of where people will come through of like, this is explained why this happened to me, and why I am the way I am. You must be the same. And there's a brain of like, what? No, like we can't compare trauma. Like,
No.
This is not how any of that works.
No, and trauma's trauma, right?
Yeah.
I mean. For me, having children, losing a child is the worst trauma I could ever go through. But if let's say you have no family, no friends, no pets, and what you know is your one favorite chapstick, and you have to use this chapstick all the time, or your lips are going to get raw, and you lose that chapstick. That's traumatic to you. And I say this because I've had a client who's been through this. They don't have a support system. This person doesn't have the resources as far as having like a village or a group of friends. Their chapstick was their chapstick, and we had to mourn that chapstick. And I was sharing this in one of my groups and people were laughing, right? But how are we supposed to meet a person where a person is at if we can't honor what is truly traumatic or tragic to them? Right? Who are we? I can't walk around. I lost my daughter and my trauma is so much worse than yours because I don't know what you've been through. Right? And pushers, there's a lot of people who do the work and are like, I'm good. Why? Because you did 6 counseling sessions? Let me tell you, you're 30 something years old and you think that 6 counseling sessions is going to fix it all? That's the first problem.
Yeah.
You don't undo decades of patterning in a couple of months. It's constant, everyday work.
Yeah. It's interesting you use the chapstick analogy of people kind of laughing at such an idea. I think therapy and counseling suffer from the same thing fine art suffers from, which is if you explain it, it sounds silly.
Totally.
If you get down to the core of it, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like the most stupid thing. But it's conceptually so heavy.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Like you and I can sit here and do this, but if I got you in a session, I'd have you crying. and I don't mean in a bad way, and I'm not saying in our first session, but right, like it's a release that especially men in this day and age are afraid to have those releases, right? Like traditionally women cry, women get emotional, we do all this. Well, that's because we've been told as women that that's okay, right? Growing up, men, especially in my blue collar community where I grew up in Rhode Island, men worked. They paid the bills, they brought in the wood for the wood stove, they shoveled, but they sucked up their own shit and they didn't deal with it. So what? Then they become abusive and addicts, and there's a lot of things that come along with holding your crap in and not having a release. Release doesn't have to be crying. It can be shoveling the snow. It can be riding your bike, going for a walk. It doesn't have to be just crying, but we have to give men, especially in this world, permission to have the same embodiment of feelings as women. Because otherwise, I can't have expectations of you to be a whole partner. Like, if I expect you to be a great partner, but don't have these feelings, what is that saying about me as a partner, right? I'm not allowing you to... I want X from you, but I don't want you to do Y.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's always a conflict, which I always find interesting, of especially the crying aspect of kind of society. I sometimes think of it as, obviously, from one point of view, it's women cry, right? It's a very feminine thing to do. It's women cry. Whereas sometimes I think of it as, but also you were taught it as a tool of a way of coping. Whereas other people weren't. It was never taught that it could be useful.
Really?
Yeah. The idea of screaming or shouting to a lot of men, that's useful. That's expression. That's, getting out frustration. But the idea of crying was never taught as this could be useful to you to get you through a moment. So when it happens, it feels like you're broken. It feels like your brain just turns off and goes, we're crying. You cry when you're sad. You don't cry for any other reason. You cry for your sad and your fear and all those kinds of things. So when it happens to men, a lot of the time it's like you sit back and you're like, oh, and you feel great afterwards.
Yeah.
But that doesn't register because you were never taught that as a child. You were taught you don't cry. Crying's not useful.
With the yelling, okay, so if you were taught to yell and shout as a release, what if we're in a relationship and you and I are having an argument right now? Or no, we're not even arguing. We're talking about something really exciting. We're going on a vacation and we're having a healthy conversation. Are we going to Belize or are we going to Greece? I want to go to Belize. You want to go to Greece. And you're getting really excited about this. But Stacy, and then your voice starts escalating and then you're shouting because you're feeling passionate about something. And because you're not sure, neither one of us have been taught you how to communicate that shouting. Me, a man shouting at me, I was taught he's being an asshole.
Yep.
When essentially that's how you communicate, and I don't know that about you, right? So we're already off on a wrong foot because I don't know how to read your language and you don't know how to communicate it, right? Yeah. Make sense?
It's amazing that couples are together.
Right? Right? But
how have we gotten this far?
I love this deep talking because people are so afraid to do it. Yeah. But back to the crying.
Yes.
After you have a purge of that, how does it feel to you as a man? Is this admitting that you've cried?
I cry.
Good. You should.
I cry on occasion, you know.
How do you feel when you have a good cry? Whether it's emotional, happy, sad, pissed off, when you fell on your face and, like, how does it feel?
So I'm going to use so to me there's two different types of crying which occur for me. The first is I don't notice I'm crying.
Is it like just a tear?
Oh no, I can be like full, like water running down my face, and this is the personality you would get, and that's like level one. So when that happens, I get to the end of it, and I'm just like, they're like, what the fuck happened? Like, my body betrayed me. I don't know what happened because everything else was running, but that happened. So that's like aspect one. But when it's something where I'm embracing the crying for whatever reason. In fact, a very good example. When I first moved to New York, I'd gone off the plane, gone in a taxi, went to the hotel, got into the hotel room, instantly started crying. And it was a moment of staring into a mirror and being like, this is insane. Right?
Yeah.
This is insane. But it's immediately afterwards, my brain is like, well, everything's calm now. And it just felt extremely calm. And not like pleasurable or and joyful, but not sad either. Just very balanced of that needed to happen.
Almost like a validation?
Yeah, essentially, but also just like it needs to happen in order to move past that moment. And I've had it with family deaths. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people experience that of you going through a moment and you need to have that big cry to get to the other side of it. And you might still cry afterwards. Like,
sure.
But there's one big cry you have to have. It's like the valve.
Or many, many, many big cries.
Yes.
But do you know what that does, that purge? It makes room for what's meant to come. You're not meant to hold on to that cry, even if it's a baby being born, a nephew, a niece, a puppy. You see life being born. If you don't cry, you have a heart of stone, right? Like, how do you not cry? But when we cry, it's a purging, and it doesn't. The type of purging doesn't matter. It's making room for what's to come next, and we get to discern what we let in and what we don't. Yeah, there's external forces, like someone's going to bump into you and piss you off or cut in front of you, right? There's those things that happen every day. Mm-hmm. But we can choose ultimately how we respond to that. And by purging, whether it be crying or punching a bag or creating art or making music, it lightens us. Mm-hmm. It frees up space for more good to come, and it ultimately allows us to be a better human. Mm-hmm. I mean, holding all that stuff in does nothing for anybody, especially absolutely the person that's holding it in, but think about what that looks like to that person's closest core group of people. Mm-hmm. And I think that could go back to what you said earlier about the person that does the work and they're trying to like, oh, I did this, or this could work for you. Yeah, that can be annoying as hell. Yeah. But also just as frustrating to that person if they're around people who aren't doing any self-care or self-work. And, self-care is looked at as, oh, I got to go spend money on getting a massage or I got to buy something new or tangibly do something, right? Mm-hmm. That's not always the case. That's not always the case at all. Self-care looks like also doing the work and asking those hard questions. Mm-hmm. That's where self-care starts.
Yeah.
Just makes us better.
Just those little bits.
And that's what it is. There's no sprint happening here. This is a marathon. And, when you do start doing the work on yourself, whatever that looks like, it's almost like you get hungry for it. Mm-hmm. And you just want to continue being a better version of yourself. And that can really piss people off. Mm-hmm. I've lost a lot of friends because as I get older and I do the work on myself, I realize what I'm willing and not willing to let in my life. Mm-hmm. And that can look to some people as being snooty, or I think I'm better than anyone, or however anybody in society wants to look at that. But at the end of the day, I know my worth. I know my value. And I am only going to share that if it's reciprocal. Reciprocal. It's never 50-50, right? It always ebbs and flows, but there has to be reciprocity in these relationships that we're giving to.
Yeah.
And if there's not, shame on us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. To bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So you mentioned resiliency earlier, which is the topic of the day, if there is a topic.
Sure, I love it.
To me, like, obviously that's working on yourself and having tools like that is a method of learning resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think people forget that it took resiliency to get there in the first place, to a point where you would even walk in and say something like that?
I think it's forgotten all too often.
Right.
We have, most of us have some type of belief system, mentors, core values, right? And when we stick to those, not only do we set a precedence for what's to be expected, right? But people recognize that. So people will either come at you one way or another. If you're like, hey, I'm not going to have this type of environment around me. Let's say you have two friends that are dating, right? And it's toxic and they're always arguing and this is what we do. Are you going to allow that type of situation in your life to happen over and over and over again? Or are you going to let it play out? We'll let this happen a little bit. And then ultimately the choice is yours, whether you stick around and hang out in that relationship, which is not building resiliency. It's building a tolerance for taking that type of situation on in your life, or you make a choice to walk away or step away, and that builds your resiliency. By making one simple decision in life can build your resiliency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I mean,
yeah.
So many little things can build our resiliency.
There is a good question in there, though.
Yeah.
What's the difference between tolerance and resilience?
Tolerance and resilience. Now, I'm not going to go look it up, right?
Sure.
But to me, tolerance and resilience. Okay, so tolerance is, when I think of tolerance, I think of any relationship that I'm in, right? Be it friendship, maternal, paternal, any relationship, mentor. Tolerance is, to me, something that we accept, but deep down inside, have this little feeling, wonderment of, is this something that I should really be accepting, right? It's an unhealthy, typically, acceptance. Whereas resilience, to me, is earned when we go through something that makes us uncomfortable. It's a choice that we make to go through something uncomfortable. We don't learn a whole lot. We don't grow a whole lot from having simple, easy lives, right? We grow and we learn from having challenges, missed opportunities, questioning. I think it's a question that only we can answer, right?
Yeah.
Each individual, depending upon what those relationships in their lives look like. And I think resiliency is just doing the hard work, and you have to ask those questions. Am I tolerating something, or is this actually helping me grow? Yeah. Is this building my resilience? Because I think it can all look very similar at times, depending upon, again, what situation you're in.
Yeah. I asked because I think you need resiliency to have tolerance, essentially.
Absolutely.
So you can end up in that trap of like, oh, well, I'm dealing with this on a day-to-day, and I think people think, oh, well, I'm not doing anything useful because I'm tolerating this. And I think they don't give themselves the kudos to say, you're putting up with that every single day. That takes a lot of strength.
Yeah.
Yes, it's misapplied strength because you could get yourself out of the situation.
Yeah.
But it's still strength.
Yeah.
So when you want to do the next bit, remember that you have that strength.
Yeah, perfect example. My youngest sister I'm 50, she's 38. And she just went through a really nasty breakup and has burnt a lot of her bridges. So she ended up back at home, her and my 13-year-old nephew, with our mother, who's just one of the most toxic humans I've ever met in my entire life. So she goes back into this home because she needs a place to live for a few months. This was her only option aside from going into a shelter, right? So you hope that staying with your mom is going to be a little bit healthier than staying in a shelter with a bunch of strangers. Theoretically, one would think that, right? Yeah. Now, my sister is doing all of these things to improve her life. Yep. She's getting assistance. She's looking for a house. She's getting more hours at work. She transferred jobs so she can be closer. She's doing all the things that she knows she needs to do. But she's at that house, and it's quite literally the same as when we were growing up. This toxic person telling her she's a loser and that her boyfriend was right to kick her out, and all of these awful toxic things. Now, in a rageful moment, in my mind, I was thinking while I was talking to my sister, you're screwing yourself. We just put you in a toxic situation. It's like a toxic soup. You're in this toxic soup and you can't get yourself out. Yeah. But like you just said, she's building her resiliency of tolerance for a situation, right? Yeah. By being in that situation, as long as she can keep her head straight, keep her nose down, do what she needs to do, and kind of have this bubble around her, right? Yeah. That's building her resilience of a situation. So yeah, I definitely think that's something to be said. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. Yeah. Having to be in these situations that are not the best for us as a stepping stone, if you will. Yeah. I mean, we've all been there. We've been through it. It's just that resiliency has to be enough at some point to take the next step, to move away from the toxicity, right?
Yes. Yeah. When you aim for it and you talk to, whoever you talk to, friends or whoever, when they suggest improving the situation, not being defeated by it and going, well, I can't do that, I'm never going to reach that level of what is needed. Yeah, you're already dealing with the mountain you're under.
Yeah, but it's so easy to also be in that place when you're in the thick of it, right? Yeah. I mean, I have this enormous bag of tools at my disposal. I have mentors that I could text, pick up the phone, have at my disposal, but there are still those days where my mind is not stronger than my emotions. And I'm like, fuck, what is this all for? Right? Like, and those moments are really important to acknowledge that, again, we have the resiliency to tolerate those feelings because we know it's going to change. It's not going to be this shitty forever. Just like on your best days, you're on a high because you feel so good. That's not going to last forever either. Right? It's riding the wave. And I think the goal should be to have that wave not be so aggressive. Right? To ride the wave, the ebbs and the flows in the middle here, rather than have the pendulum swinging all the way from side to side. That's the type of person I am. Right. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in the chaos. I sometimes create chaos for myself because it's so familiar. Right, yeah. But that's where my resilience needs to come in and be like, okay, lady, you got to step it back a little bit, and I have to do that. I do that on a weekly basis. Yeah. Because it's a constant reminder, like, just because I have all of these tools doesn't mean I'm all set, right? Yeah. No, it means I have to work a lot harder to remind myself in my ADD mind that I am just human.
Yeah. I think it takes resiliency just to be human.
Dude, it's nuts. Yeah. Being a human in this day and age is not an easy thing. No.
There's a lot to be said for kind of trying to strike, in a way, some ways I think of it as you trying to strike a bargain with yourself. at any one point. Right?
Daily?
Yeah, daily. And I was trying to compare it to kind of like self-improvement in job, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you have a job. You have your regular job, which you do. You know you must do. Otherwise, you don't have job. Therefore, don't have money, blah, 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 blah. When you're at home, your job is you. Problem is, you can't get fired from that job. So there's no risk in your brain because you're like, well, yeah, I'm still going to wake up tomorrow and the job's going to suck to be me. But I can't change that. Whereas if your job sucks and it gets to a point of sucking, the world will change that for you. Whereas at home, the world's not going to change anything.
I think if we ask ourselves what the risk of complacency is in our personal lives, because what's worse, staying the same as you are today for the rest of your life, or taking the chance that something could work out somewhere down the road, whatever that means to you, right? Like, for me, it's exercising every day. Like, I have all the tools I need in the gym, in the garage. They're right out the door.
Yeah.
But I could sit on the deck and have coffee for an hour longer, or I could take a long shower, or I could go back to bed, or I could do the work I needed to do. But no. Okay. So right now I'm 50, and if I'm not exercising and doing what I need to do, I'm adding years to my life.
Yeah.
Or I'm taking away years to my life, right? I'm not as healthy as I want to be. I'm not doing the things or taking care of myself as I should. So even though we don't technically have a boss or like this big corporate like program keeping us paying your 401k, your check, your vacation, even though we don't have someone in our personal life necessarily doing that, I think it's more up to us to, again, look in the mirror, right? Because no one knows us better than ourselves. No one truly knows what we need, what we desire, what we love, what we hate, what's going to make us tick. No one knows that more than us. So if we value that person as much as, say, the person that loves us most in the world, what could that look like? How could that help us evolve? Right?
Yeah.
Did that feel like a kick in the balls, Graham?
No, but it's been years since I felt anything. So.
That's terrible. We need to get you on my schedule. No, it's. Look, I think, and we also can't take ourselves too seriously.
No.
And if you can't laugh at yourself, that's the first problem.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I often have conversations with people who because British, therefore self-deprecating. That's what we do, right?
Kills me.
It's the culture we have. Regardless of how self-deprecating you get, you can still love yourself. It's almost like a language choice for us of just saying, well, yeah, but I'm terrible, like every single day. But we're okay with that because it's the same as hyping yourself up. Okay. Because it almost doesn't register to a lot of British people that you're even doing it. Like, I know there's a lot of conversation, especially in America, where it's you put out into the world what you want to get back, right? You have to look in the mirror and say, I'm great. I'm going to be doing awesome. But for British people, doing that seems toxic.
Really?
Yeah. It's so you're looking at yourself and you're going, you're going to be great. You're going to be fantastic. And you receive it and your brain goes,
you fucking idiot.
Yeah. Like, I'm slightly hungover, and this is not, like,
this sucks.
This isn't based in reality. Whereas if you look at you like, you're terrible, and you're like, yes, but we're still going.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If we're out, we're having a drink, we're like shooting the shit, and I'm like, Graham, you just kind of suck. Mm-hmm. How would that feel?
That feels good.
Oh! It feels good?
Because it means we're in a level of, like...
We can be real.
Companionship of being real with one another.
And we all suck at one point or another, right? But I think what I mean by that is, if you're okay giving that to yourself, are you okay with other people giving that to you? Yeah,
but I think there's again, kind of like a language thing. So recently I introduced a friend of mine to a concept which is very British, which is I walked in and I said, "What's up, dickhead?"
Dickhead?
Dickhead.
Dickhead, okay.
I just called him a dickhead straight from the get-go. And he was like, "Oh, hey, wait, what do you call me?" And I was like, I called you a dickhead, but I meant it as a term of endearment.
Yeah, like, hey, fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, and there's a difference between that of like, you tell me I suck. I'm going to know
If I'm serious
if you're
or not.
trying to call me on something,
Yeah.
or whether you're actually just being like, you make pretty terrible life decisions at times. Like,
Yeah.
there's a difference of that, and it's supportive insults rather than just being like,
But what if they weren't supportive insults and it was just somebody be like, you're a dick, you suck, and you should just not be here anymore? What would you do? Like, how would you, if it wasn't a form of endearment? Because I get the whole, like, my closest girlfriends and I, like, sometimes I call Corey a fucker. Sometimes I call my 20-year-old daughter a fucker because she's being a fucker. Like, but it's love. It's not, it's not like, it's more like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but what if someone wasn't doing it in a genuine way? It was disingenuous. How would it feel? What would your response be?
There probably wouldn't be much response, and I think it comes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning. I don't know why you're insulting me.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's not much I can do with the information, and I'm not going to take it personally.
Good.
So we just move past it.
Yeah.
It's like, if you think I'm terrible, I can't control that unless you tell me why. And if I disagree with it, then that's just the situation we're in, If someone's personality doesn't agree with you, then we're probably just not going to be friends.
Yeah, yeah.
We move through that. We move on. But at the same time, I'm me. Not everyone reacts like that when they're insulted. And so,
I think if there's something that truly you don't, or anybody doesn't like about themselves, or it's an insecurity, or whatever it is, pick that one thing and spend some time with it. And find out, why the fuck is this making me angry? Why am I feeling, why am I acting? Why am I doing this? Right? Because chances are, if it's something that's a pattern and it's perpetually happening, it's something that needs your love. It needs your attention. It needs to be healed. And I think that's where I'll probably be shot, because I am in a family of traditional therapists versus a shamanic counselor. I deal with the person as a whole, going inside and who they are as a person. And I think traditionally therapists deal with things on a scientific level, and not I'm sorry, but not everybody works that way. Not everybody has that understanding of science and why neurotransmitters respond the way they do. We need to break those things down. We need to break them down for people that are more spiritual beings, that learn differently, that acquire information differently, that embody information differently, can understand and have a different approach to healing themselves, to healing their bullshit, to healing an old pattern that they don't like anymore, right? It's just different.
Yeah.
I prefer this type of work because I get to know people on such a deeper level without like the constraints of what someone's telling me I can and cannot work with as far as client professional relationship, right? Like, it goes back to having a boss. Yeah. You're not going to tell me what I can and cannot talk to my clients about. Now, there's a rule of thumb. Of course there is. There's professional conduct. Of course. But I have found in my life, traditional therapy, it shuts a lot of people down. Because it just doesn't work for some people.
No.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Reasonable. Yeah. I think you can grow in different ways and learn in different ways, as we've said. I think when we talk about therapy and counseling and anything like that, I think the only risk I ever see with therapy and counseling is that it becomes the crutch for people. Well, no, I'm getting better because I'm in therapy. And it gets back to the resiliency we were talking about, where you're going to therapy, but are you changing in any way?
Yeah.
Are you just going to therapy because it's the thing you should do, right? rather than looking at it and going, well, no, we can change this, and experiencing, like you say, the extremes, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Or trying not to experience.
Right, one or the other.
Whichever side you're on. Yeah.
And that's why I think having goals is so important. Right? We can pick. Traditionally, I pick 3 goals with any client, but it varies. It could be some really heavy stuff, and we pick one thing, or it could be 3 or 4 or 5 very similar things that kind of go into the same basket. It's each individual is so different, and it's not about what I think you need. It's about what do you actually need, and what is actually going to work for you. I've never been to a traditional therapist where I've had any body work done, where I've had any sound healing done, any Reiki done, any physical tactile work done on my body. And our trauma is not just here. Our trauma, if we carry it for long enough, it resonates in different parts of our bodies. For men, it's different. For men, it's typically neck, shoulders, sometimes arms and fists, because men kind of right? Traditionally anyway. Yeah. Women, it's usually in our hips and our backs, sometimes our necks. We carry things differently, right? So if we're not using somatics, if we're not using energy work and attunement and all these different things, you can continuously work on what your mind needs, but your mind is only one part of you, right? It's one small part of you, where this is a complex machine. It's so complex, and it takes so many different types of different means of therapy, different means of holistic care, different means of whatever it means to that person, right? There's so many different things that we can do to help a person heal. But if we're stuck in this little one tiny box of modern day therapy, that's what you're going to get. And I'm not knocking it, because it does work tremendously for some people. Yeah. Right? Obviously. And if it's something that works, do it. Don't fix what's not broken, right? But there's just a lot more out there, and just because this type of counseling isn't covered by insurance at this time doesn't mean it doesn't have its value. Yeah. So.
And that's a bigger question.
Oh, that's Pandora's box.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still learning about the American health insurance system.
It is awful.
Though crazily enough, the biggest shock I got was dental. Yeah. And how much is not covered under dental, but is regular life health is quite covered at times. Yeah. Dental is not. I was like, that's so dramatic.
Which is so fucked up, because if you think about it, oral health is directly related to your heart.
And you guys are known for your teeth.
So let's not address anyone's mouth, but then the pharmaceutical company is going to make a shitload of money off of you when you start having to go in for heart issues. Yeah. Oh my God, Pandora's box. You need a week here, my friend.
But no, to round us out.
I'll be back in August, so we can pick up then.
Yeah. Well, generally I have a rule of one a year, so you'll have to wait a bit.
Fine.
Yeah, future guest. But to round us out, I think you're right. I think engaging in thought and feeling study on self is, I mean, no one's going to say it's a bad thing. Yeah. But it's a good thing. But it does need to manage and be managed in a way where you're experiencing different things to your day-to-day in both all of these things which you're talking about, where it's physical, mental, those kinds of things. But you also say, when it comes to things like resiliency and, courage to do the thing, being that uncomfortable, because that uncomfortable is what will help you regardless. Yeah. And remembering that uncomfortableness is something you probably can deal with, because you've already dealt with life to get to the point where you actually stepped into, a situation where you can talk about it in the first place. Yeah. At least I think that's what we're saying.
It's so hard. It's so hard to get to a place of not only acknowledging that you want or need the support, but then finding said support, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
There's everybody has wait lists right now for emotional mental health because of the world, because of the climate of the country, you know. But so once you finally get to the place where you can acknowledge that you want or need help, finding the person and then showing up and being there and like being vulnerable enough to surrender to a person that wants to help, right? And that's where it starts. And accountability, we have to just keep our minds stronger than our emotions for the most part, right? Because it doesn't always work. We're emotional beings. But when we're in it, when we're in the shit of it, when we want to make change, we have to keep our minds stronger than our emotions. Otherwise, we're going to keep perpetuating the cycle.
I feel like that's a good point to round out. It rounds us out nicely as part of the cycle.
Part of the cycle. Yeah.
And you worry about doing live talk.
I know!
You're so well, you craft these little segments.
Yeah, but I'm hanging out with a friend now.
Well, sure. Well, that's the whole idea of it.
I know.
That's why it's so easy.
Right?
Okay. I have 2 questions to round this out with to finish it off.
Yeah.
Which you may know or you may not know.
Okay.
But I do change them. So my last piece doesn't have to be related to anything we've said today.
Okay.
What is a genuinely good piece of advice?
A genuinely good piece of advice.
Just a good piece of advice.
If it feels too good to be true, it probably is.
Okay. That's a decent piece of advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for me, yeah. I've been in so many situations in my life where I haven't listened to my intuition because it just felt so good. I wanted so bad. Like, be it money, career, sex, profile, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If it looks and sounds too good to be true, what's the caveat?
Yeah.
That's all.
That's pretty straightforward advice. I always usually say that when you're on the internet.
But man, that was hard. That could have been really, really hard. Thanks, Graham.
I like this question though, because you know, because I always like that question because people either try to relate it back to what they've just said, like what's a great piece of advice about therapy, or that kind of thing, or someone just really approaches it logically, like what is a good piece of advice? Stretching in the morning.
Yeah.
That's a solid piece of
Hell
advice.
Yeah. That's a definite. Drink enough water.
No.
We know.
Yeah.
You were like dehydrated when you get off the train.
I mean, I generally am. Yeah. I drink like 8 cups of coffee a day. You know.
And how much water?
It's water and coffee.
Oh.
That's scientific.
He's booking a session next.
Yeah. My last question.
Yes.
Who should I speak to next?
As far as podcasting goes?
So I'm kind of chain lettering it and because I want to find more interesting people and the people I meet are interesting. Who should I speak to next? Because I could have anybody on.
My cousin's going to kill me, but I have to say him. He's really funny, and he's very intelligent, and he's very artistic. So I've known this man my entire life, and I still have a hard time knowing if he's serious or not. And he's very believable.
Interesting.
He's very believable, but he's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So Paul or Sage Francis, he does a ton of them. He'll probably kill me for even mentioning him, but he's just such a good dude.
We'll tag him. I'll let you bully him into it. And,
Yeah.
go from there.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, I have you both on at the same time.
Oh my God. We can talk about how he traumatized me as a child. I have many, many,
That'd
many
be
stories
perfect.
about that.
Exactly.
That's not art. That's torture.
I mean, at least you get to play with your cousins.
Best time. Best
I don't
time.
really speak to my cousins.
Yeah.
They're just there. But no, it's been lovely.
Yeah, it's been
Hopefully
so
this
much
wasn't-
fun. Easy.
Yeah.
Now we,
Not
now
painful.
No.
No.
But now we get to eat some Thai
Well, that's always good as well.
if it got delivered.
Hopefully.
I don't know.
One way or another, we'll do
We'll
something
eat.
after this. Yeah,
We'll
something
eat.
will happen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, no, we'll round it out.
So much fun. I'll see you next year.
Yeah, definitely.
But before that, in real life.
Yeah. Before now, we will just turn it off. Thank you.
Cool.
Catch
Thank
you.
you.
Later.
What do I do?